Hello everyone, good day to all of you. Welcome to my channel. So for today's video, we will be discussing module 2 of ethics. So I will be giving you what activities you're going to do in this module and how you're going to answer them. But I will not be providing the entire content of the module. So as for the content, perhaps we're going to have that on the next video, but for today we're just going to have the activities. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. This is your instructor, Galilea Rama, and let us begin then on lesson 1. Alright, so for lesson 1, which is about utilitarianism, so in this case, we are going to discuss about utilitarianism in this lesson. So we have provided the objectives. So the objectives are what you're going to achieve at the end of every lesson. Let's see if we could achieve those. So we have provided the introduction, and then we have here, as you can see, the activity room. In this case, this is actually a prose or a part of a news article that you're going to read, of course, and we could also see the link here below. So the purpose of this news article is to answer the analysis. So you're going to base the answer of the analysis on the news article. Big surprise. Anyways, so we have here lesson 1. Do you agree with the decision made by President Rodrigo R. Duterte, and why? So in this case, what is the decision made by our president? So President Rodrigo Duterte has placed Metro Manila and other high-risk areas back to a modified enhanced community quarantine for 15 days effective Tuesday, August 4, 2020, amid the COVID-19 threat. So that is the decision made by the president. Now, do you agree with that? And why? Why yes and why not? Okay. Next, are you satisfied with the actions or decisions of a government, and why? So in this case, this is not just the action made by the president or made by the government in Metro Manila, but these are the actions or decisions made by the government for the entire Philippines, for the entire country. Now, do you agree with those decisions? Why? Third, how can you help a government during this pandemic? So this one is quite really understandable. So in your own little ways, how you're going to help the government? Like, will you follow the protocols? Will you follow the guidelines made by the government or local government as well? So you're going to write those. I mean, I'm not going to give you how many sentences you should write here, but as long as you could actually get to the point and the point is actually clear, so I got no problem with that, dear children. Alright, next, as for the abstraction, you're not going to answer this, you're just going to read and analyze. So in this case, it actually talks about what makes something good or bad, right or wrong. Because we know, class, like when it comes to truth, like my truth could be true to you, I mean true to me, but it may not be true to you. But your truth may be true to you, but it may not be true to me. So in this case, we're going to know like what is the truth that is accepted by society. So that is it. Next, we are going to talk about the philosophers. We have Jeremy Bentham on the first, and second is John Stuart. So we're going to discuss them. And we are also going to discuss about the origin and the meaning of utilitarianism to fully understand it. And how does utilitarianism work? So we're going to discuss that too. As for the application, we are going to watch a movie or read, whichever you prefer. Anyways, as for this part, we have here the movie entitled Unthinkable, made in 2010. So as you know, class, I have already provided you with the link of the a synopsis of the movie, and also like the content of it I have provided in our Facebook page and also our group chat. So if you don't really want to watch the movie, you can just read the synopsis. And then you have to read or watch the movie because you're going to answer these questions. There are actually 5 questions about this movie. So first, what is the movie all about? So it asks the plot of the movie. Next, if you were Brody, would you do the same strategy of persuading Yusef to reveal the bomb's location? So in this case, this is an action movie class, so I think it'll be fun. Next, how does the philosophy of utilitarianism portrayed in this movie? So that's why you have to analyze as well the movie and how does utilitarianism, what do you call this, portrayed in this movie. Fourth, what have you learned from this movie that you will apply in your real life? So this question asks about the moral of the story or the life lessons as well that you will be able to apply in your own life. And for the last question, what have you learned from this lesson that you will apply in your life? So this one talks about the movie. The fifth one is from the lesson. If you have learned something from the lesson and you seem to think that you can apply it in real life, you're going to write it on number 5. All right, so that is for lesson 1. And now let us have lesson 2, which is deontology. So here we are going to discuss what is deontology all about and a philosopher named Immanuel Kant. So we have here the activity room. Make at least 10 examples of right and wrong actions as a student and put your examples in the table provided. So for the right actions example, as a student, I should not cheat, of course. For the wrong actions, as a student, I should destroy the school property. Vandalism, that's not good. Anyways, we are going to provide 10 examples here and another 10 examples on the wrong actions. Next one, for the application, you are going to answer these questions. So why you should always consider your good and bad actions. Why do we have to really think when we have to do something, or whenever we act, or whenever we say something? Why do we have to, reflect on them? Next, how can you say an action is moral? So this class is based on your perception of right and wrong. So I can't really say that your action is wrong unless it is. So it just depends on people sometimes, and our perception of the world, and our perception on society, or everything, on our perception on everything. So I'm going to write that. Third, in Immanuel Kant's Principle of Humanity, why he said that every human being has a supreme worth and profound dignity. So to know more about Immanuel Kant, we are going to read the abstraction first. In this case, it actually discusses about deontology and what it's all about. And then we have here the heart of Kantian ethics, the obligation and not inclination, pure reason as the justification of morality, and so on and so forth. So I think before you can actually answer the question number 3, which is this one, so you're gonna have to read the abstraction, so before you can answer this one. So next we are going to have, for a moment, the application. In this case, we have here some scenarios or case or situations, and then you are going to reflect on them, then analyze them. So why do you actually think these actions are correct or ethical, and why not? So say for example, for case number 1, the fetus. No, right? Some people would say that the fetus does not have any right because of the absence of autonomy and rationality. Do you think this is correct following Kant's ethical philosophy? And defend your answer. So, do you think, you know, this is correct or not? And why do you think so? So, next, case number 2, truth or consequence. Suppose a woman relative is fleeing from her abusive husband and comes to your house begging for help. Since she is your relative and you know how much she has suffered from the brutality of her husband, you allow her to take refuge in your home. Then the husband comes knocking at your door and asks if his wife is in the house. What are you going to do? Should you lie or tell the truth? What do you think Kant would say on this? So you're going to discuss this one. I think it's really easy. I mean, the situations are like really easy, and you can just, answer it basing on your perception on or reflection on these situations. And that is the end for module 2. And well, that's not really the end of the entire video. So let's proceed to lesson 3. We have here justice. So we are going to talk about John Stuart Mill as well and his theory. So for the activity room, we have here number 1. What is your obligation to others as a person in a free society? So you're going to write this one, or you're going to answer this one. So what are our obligations to others? Second, is it sometimes wrong to tell the truth? And why do you think so? If you want, you could also discuss about white lies in this question. I mean, it could also be a good answer. Third, do individual rights and the common good conflict? And why do you think so? So you're going to answer that one. As for the analysis, why, for number 1, why we should always do whatever will produce the greatest amount of happiness and whatever is necessary to prevent the greatest amount of unhappiness. So it's very simple, as you can see, very understandable. Next, should you always try to maximize happiness and why? That is quite a tricky question, right? Because too much of everything is not really good, but it just depends on your perspective again. Third, should you always do whatever is necessary to minimize unhappiness and why? Tricky, but it still depends on your perception and your answer. So you're going to answer that part. As for the abstraction again, dear children, you're not going to answer this, you're just going to read it. So here comes John Stuart Mill and his theory. So we have here utility and justice. We're going to talk about that. So this one is a little bit wordy and a little bit long, but it's worth the read, I think. So now we are going to have the application. So in this part, you're going to answer the questions. So suppose you are driving through a narrow tunnel and a worker falls onto the road in front of you. There's not enough time for you to stop. If you keep going straight, you will hit the worker and kill him. But if you swerve left into oncoming traffic, you will collide with a school bus and kill at least 5 children. What's the right thing to do? Oh my gosh, this is a little bit difficult. What should you do? I mean, it actually just asks if you swerve left. But what if you swerve right? Who knows? So you're going to defend your answer. Anyways, for the second question, suppose we have to choose between building a new sports stadium and building a new hospital. Should we build a stadium if there are many more sports fans than sick people? What about the sick people? Aren't we sacrificing their interests? This is quite tricky too, but This class is actually based on your opinion and your perception. So, do you want to save the sick people, or do you want, to boost the tourism in the country with the um, building of a new sports stadium? So you're going to justify again your answer. And that ends module 3. I mean, lesson 3. Sorry. So now we are going to have lesson 4, which is the natural law. In this case, we are going to discuss about the concepts of natural law and etc. So as for the activity room, we have here the quote, "To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible." So in this case, like based on your understanding of this quote, what does it mean to you? Like, what do you think does it say? Or what do you think does it mean? So you're going to discuss that. I'm not going to give you like how many sentences you should write, but as long as your point is clear and specific, like, I don't mind. Next, for the analysis, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, what is man's goal that would adore God? Second, how do holy scriptures like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and others concern man in his relationship with God? Why? Third, why is there a need to have law according to St. Thomas Aquinas? So I think before you answer this question, you have to read first the abstraction. So it talks about St. Thomas Aquinas, and all the answers of these questions could be found here on the abstraction. And of course, you're going to provide as well your own opinion too. So let's proceed. So this is the abstraction and the content. And now we are going to have the application. In this part, you are going to answer briefly and concisely. So for one, distinguish the types of laws identified by St. Thomas Aquinas. So what are those laws, which are talked about in the abstraction? Second, if law serves the common good, does that mean that the good of some individuals can be sacrificed for the good of others? Oh, and why? Third, that is it. There is no question number 3. So that ends lesson 4. So I hope this is not much for you. I mean, the questions are quite easy too. A little bit tricky, but they're easy. And now we are going to have lesson 5, the golden rule. What is the golden rule? So let's talk about it. So for the activity room, in the box provided, list down 5 reasons why you need to do good to others, and list down 5 reasons why you should not do bad things or actions to others. So here you're going to write 5 examples and 5 examples here too. So 5 examples of reasons I need to do good, and 5 examples of reasons I should not do bad. So you're going to answer that. And as for the analysis, we have here the quote, "I have something that I call my golden rule. It goes something like this. Do unto others 25% better than you expect them to do unto you. The 25% is for error." This is quite humorous, and that is according to Linus Pauling. So for the first question, is the quote morally good? And why do you think so? This is based on your perception of the quote. Second, why does Linus Pauling has to allocate a margin for error? Why do you think so? So you're going to write that. Next, as for the abstraction, we have here defining a golden rule and what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. That is according to Confucius. And do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. And that is from Jesus Christ in Matthew chapter 7 verse 12. So we have here types and relatives of the golden rule. We have the silver rule, the platinum, the rule of love, role taking, empathy, Kant's categorical imperative, the actual biblical passage. There are 7. So you're going to read all of these. A bit wordy, but you know, it's worth the read. And alright, we have arrived to the application. So in this case, we have here the evaluation, compare and contrast. So scenario, Li Fong showed respect to his co-employees because he wants to be respected as well. As we know, respect is earned. It's not actually forced. Anyways, for question number 1, using the philosophical view of golden rule, why is the scenario above considered as morally good? Or is it? And why? Second, using the biblical doctrinal view of golden rule, why is the scenario above not morally good? So this is based on your perception again. And that ends lesson 5 and the module 2. So I hope, class, that you'll be able to answer all of this. And if you have any questions, like, feel free to message me either privately or the GC, like, I don't mind. And for the submission of this, you're going to submit it on October 29, and you could either private message the answers to me, or you can send it to my Gmail, which is leah.delarama05@gmail.com. So I think that is it. So I wish you all have a nice day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you then in the next video. Bye.